They say there is a door inside you, a door with no hinges, no lock, no visible frame. You've passed it every night, often without noticing, sometimes stepping through without meaning to. And when you do, you're no longer bound by flesh or bone. You float. You drift. You are. This is the realm of astral projection, the art of consciously leaving your body while remaining tethered to it by something ancient mystics have called the silver cord. The body sleeps, the heart beats, but you awaken in a world shaped not by gravity, but by thought. The first time it happens to most people is by accident, perhaps in a fever dream, during deep meditation, or in that strange, vibrating twilight between wakefulness and sleep. But to do it on purpose, to step deliberately beyond the walls of the physical, that is a skill. A discipline. A form of magic wrapped in the language of the mind. And here's the strange part, astral projection is not new, not a modern New Age curiosity. The Egyptians wrote of it in their Book of the Dead. Tibetan monks trained for lifetimes to master it. Shamans across continents spoke of spirit walking to visit realms unseen. In the West, Renaissance magicians and secret societies whispered instructions for exteriorizing the subtle body. Always hidden in metaphor, because to speak plainly was to risk being misunderstood, or feared. In this journey, we will explore the first steps toward that ancient ability. Not the full, chaotic plunge into infinite dimensions, that comes later, but the gentle opening of the door. You will learn what astral projection truly is, why it has been so revered across cultures, and how to prepare your mind and body for the moment you decide to step beyond your skin. Consider this video your lantern in a shadowed corridor. Follow closely. Some of what you'll hear will sound familiar, like half-remembered dreams. Other parts may unsettle you, because they touch a part of yourself that modern life tries to keep buried. But if you're ready, let's begin. The unseen is waiting. Long before modern science began dissecting the brain and labeling the dream state as nothing more than neural misfires, humanity treated the act of leaving the body as sacred. It was not an anomaly, it was a rite. Across ages and continents, we find the same story told in different tongues. The soul is not chained to the body. It can wander. It can return. In the temples of ancient Egypt, priests spoke of the Ka, the vital essence that could separate from the physical shell and travel freely. In hieroglyphs, the Ka is depicted as a double of the person, an exact likeness, standing beside them, a reminder that your physical form is only one layer of your existence. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is, in essence, a guidebook for the soul's journey beyond the flesh, instructions for navigating other realms after death, but also hints for doing so in life. Thousands of miles away, in the Himalayan highlands, Tibetan monks developed Phawa and dream yoga, disciplines for consciously transferring consciousness outside the body. Here, the act was not about curiosity but liberation. If you could leave the body at will, you would fear death less, and live more fully. The body was seen as a temporary dwelling, the consciousness as a traveler. Indigenous shamans in the Amazon, the Arctic, and the African plains have long performed soul flights, entering trance through drumming, chanting, or sacred plants. They would journey to heal the sick, find lost objects, or commune with spirits. In these traditions, astral projection was not entertainment, it was survival, service, and sacred duty. The Greeks spoke of eidolon, a phantom self that could appear far from its sleeping body. The philosopher Plato suggested that the soul, when free of bodily constraints, could witness eternal truths. Even the Christian mystics spoke of rapture of the spirit, moments when the soul was carried beyond the material world to receive divine visions. But here's the profound philosophical thread tying all of these traditions together. Astral projection was never seen as an escape from the body, but as an expansion beyond it. The body is not a prison, it is a base camp at the foot of an infinite mountain. Projection is the climb. These traditions hint at a deeper truth, that reality itself is layered, and the physical plane is merely the most solid, most obvious layer. Beyond it are realms where thought is form, where time folds in on itself, where the boundaries of you dissolve. Ancient wisdom suggests these realms are just as real as the one you're in now, perhaps more real, because they are not bound by decay. And yet, every culture also issued a warning: the journeyer must prepare. Without discipline, the traveler risks confusion, fear, or being drawn into illusions of their own making. The first steps are not about flinging yourself into the unknown, but about steadying the mind, strengthening the will, and learning to navigate without getting lost. In this way, astral projection has always been both a skill and a responsibility. It's not unlike being handed the keys to a ship that sails not on water, but on consciousness itself. The untrained may drift endlessly. The train can go anywhere. When we return, we will step into the core explanation, lifting the veil on what astral projection really is, how it functions, and what happens in that strange liminal space between the body you leave behind and the worlds you enter. Imagine falling asleep, not as an act of losing consciousness, but as slipping beneath the surface of a dark lake. In ordinary dreams, you sink until the water closes over you and the world above is forgotten. In astral projection, you hover just below the surface, aware of both worlds at once. You feel the water on your skin, but you can still see the stars. At its essence, astral projection is the deliberate separation of your conscious awareness from the dense physical body. Some call this second vehicle the astral body, the subtle body, the spirit form, a replica of yourself made of energy rather than matter. The concept is simple to state but difficult to master. Your mind remains awake while your body rests deeply enough to release its hold. Here's the paradox: you've likely done this before without realizing it. Every time you dream vividly, every time you've had that sensation of floating above your bed, every time you've experienced a lucid dream so real you could feel the wind, you were brushing against the astral. The difference is that in projection, you do it with intention, with precision. From an esoteric perspective, the human being exists in multiple layers or sheaths: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. These layers are connected but not fixed in place. Astral projection is the art of gently sliding one layer free while keeping the others intact. Think of it as removing your coat without disturbing the shirt beneath. There's also the silver cord, a shimmering thread of energy described in mystical texts across the ages. This cord is said to tether the astral body to the physical one, stretching infinitely but never breaking until death. It is your lifeline, your compass, and your guarantee of return. Some perceive it in their journeys, others simply know it's there, like an unshakable intuition. The process typically unfolds in stages. Relaxation: the body must be so at ease that it no longer demands attention. Mind wakefulness: the awareness stays sharp, resisting the pull into unconscious sleep. Vibrational state: many report feeling intense buzzing, humming, or waves of energy. This is the shifting of frequency between physical and astral layers. Separation: a moment of lifting, sliding, or floating free. Some roll out of the body, others simply stand up in their astral form. One of the most important truths to understand: astral projection is not teleportation. You are not leaving in the physical sense, you are shifting the focal point of your awareness to a different frequency of reality. Imagine turning the dial of an old radio: the station changes, the music changes, but the radio itself hasn't moved an inch. What makes astral projection unique compared to dreaming is that you have access to a wider spectrum of experiences. You can visit familiar places, explore symbolic dreamscapes, or venture into realms with entirely different laws of nature. Some travelers meet entities, guides, loved ones, or beings that defy description. Others encounter only vast, shifting landscapes. The experience is shaped partly by the traveler's intention, and partly by forces beyond them. And here's the subtle danger: your thoughts have mass in the astral. They don't just color your perception, they create it. Fear will manifest as shadows, confusion as mazes, joy as light. This is why discipline, clarity, and emotional stability are crucial before your first real journey. Without them, you risk being pulled into a self-made labyrinth and forgetting the way out. In the next section, we'll go deeper into the lesser-known mechanics of astral projection, the illusions that can trap the unwary, and why the worlds you enter are not always what they seem. Once you understand the basic structure of astral projection, the layers of self, the stages of separation, the importance of intention, the real depth begins. Because the astral is not a single place. It is an ocean, and like any ocean, it has currents, depths, and hidden creatures. Many traditions describe the astral as divided into planes or levels. These are not physical tiers stacked on top of each other, but vibrational states of reality. The lower astral planes are dense and heavy, shaped largely by raw emotions and primal thought. These are the shadowy regions often mistaken for hell in religious visions, crowded with forms born of fear, anger, or greed. The higher planes are luminous, fluid, and harmonious, reflecting clarity, love, and insight. The critical insight here is this: you don't go to a plane, you match it. Your state of mind and heart acts as your passport. If you enter the astral filled with anxiety or hostility, you will sink toward the heavier realms. Enter with curiosity, peace, and focus, and you'll rise toward the lighter, more expansive regions. This is why training the mind is as important as the projection technique itself. Then there is the question of perception. In the astral, seeing is not limited to eyes. You perceive with your entire being, sometimes in imagery, sometimes in direct knowing, sometimes in symbolic language that unfolds only when you reflect on it later. Two travelers might stand in the same astral location and describe it completely differently, because their own consciousness filters and shapes the experience. This is where the greatest illusions emerge. Not every being you meet, not every message you receive, is what it claims to be. Just as in the physical world, there are deceivers, tricksters, and entities that feed on attention. An untrained traveler can be drawn into entire false realities, exquisite, convincing, but hollow at the core. Ancient texts warned of thought forms, autonomous projections of the mind that can take on lives of their own in the astral, trapping the traveler in endless loops. There's also the phenomenon of reality bleed, where your astral and physical perceptions overlap. You might hear voices from your room while walking in a vast astral city, or feel your physical body stir as you float above it. This overlap can be disorienting, but with experience, you learn to navigate both streams of awareness at once. One of the most intriguing and controversial aspects of astral projection is interaction with other conscious beings. Some believe you can meet other human projectors in shared astral spaces, confirmed by later conversations in waking life. Others view such meetings as subjective synchronizations, meaningful but not necessarily objective. In either case, the encounters can be profound, often leaving an emotional or spiritual imprint. Finally, it's essential to remember that returning is as important as leaving. Most travelers naturally feel the pull of the physical body when the projection is complete, a gentle tug, like gravity calling you back. But in rare cases, intense fascination with the astral can lead to reluctance in returning. This is dangerous. The physical life is the anchor for your spiritual growth. Projection is a tool, not a replacement. The ancient adepts knew this. They journeyed far, but they always came back with something useful for the waking world. In the next stage of this journey, we'll descend from the realm of theory into the realm of action. I'll share practical, time-tested methods for achieving your first controlled projection, along with the inner disciplines to ensure the voyage is safe, stable, and transformative. Before you attempt astral projection, forget the image of violently popping out of your body. That is not how this works. The first steps are quiet, deliberate, almost ceremonial. The ancients treated it as an initiation, and you should too. 1. Prepare the temple, your body and space. Your body is the anchor, so make it comfortable. Wear loose clothing. Dim the lights. Let the air be neither too warm nor too cold. Silence all distractions. Some projectors prefer to face east, a symbolic alignment with the rising sun and new beginnings. Your space should feel safe. If your subconscious feels threatened, even subtly, it will keep you tethered. Some traditions burn incense, light a candle, or place protective symbols nearby. Whether these have an objective effect or simply signal to your subconscious that you are safe, the result is the same: your mind relaxes its guard. 2. The relaxation ritual. Lie on your back, arms at your sides, eyes closed. Scan your body from toes to head, releasing all tension. Imagine each part dissolving into warm light. Your goal is to make the body so still that it disappears from your awareness. Then, slow your breathing until it is deep and rhythmic. 4 counts in, 4 counts out. The body begins to drift towards sleep, and here is the first challenge: keep the mind awake. 3. The hypnagogic bridge. As your body relaxes, you'll enter the hypnagogic state, the twilight zone between wakefulness and sleep. Fleeting images, strange sounds, or drifting thoughts may appear. Do not react. Imagine you are sitting on the bank of a river, watching these impressions flow past without following them. The key here is detachment. If you jump into one of these images, you'll slip into a dream instead of a projection. Your awareness must hover like a bird over water, alert, but not forcing anything. 4. Entering the vibrational state. If you remain still and focused long enough, you may feel a sudden surge, buzzing in the ears, tingling across the skin, waves pulsing through the body. This is the vibrational state, the tuning of your energy body to a higher frequency. Do not panic. Many beginners abort here because they think something is going wrong. Instead, surrender to the vibrations. Let them intensify without resisting. The stronger they become, the closer you are to separation. 5. The separation technique. Once the vibrations stabilize, choose a method to exit. Rope technique. Imagine an invisible rope hanging above you. Without moving your physical arms, feel yourself reaching up and climbing. Hand over hand, until you sense your weight shift and your point of view changes. Roll-out method. Imagine yourself gently rolling to the side, out of your physical body, like stepping out of a shadow. Floating method. Visualize yourself slowly rising toward the ceiling, pulled by an unseen force. The moment the sensation changes, the bed feels distant, the air feels lighter, you're out. 6. First journeys. Keep it simple. For your first projection, don't rush to explore distant galaxies. Instead, stand beside your sleeping body. Walk through your room. Observe the textures, the light, the strange differences from waking reality. This anchors your awareness and builds stability. 7. The return. When you're ready, simply think of your body. The silver cord will pull you back instantly, sometimes with a gentle snap. Take a few deep breaths before moving physically. 8. Journaling. Write down every detail as soon as possible: sensations, visuals, emotions. Over time, patterns will emerge. This record becomes your personal map of the astral realms. Common challenges. Falling asleep happens often. Practice during early morning hours, when the body is rested but the mind is alert. Fear response. Acknowledge it but don't feed it. Fear will pull you into lower astral states or abort the projection entirely. No vibrations. Some people skip them entirely. If you suddenly shift without the buzzing, that's still projection. Remember, the goal of these first steps is familiarity. Astral projection is like swimming. Your first time in the water is not to cross the ocean, but to learn you won't drown. In the conclusion, we'll tie together the history, the mechanics, and the practice, and I'll leave you with a thought that might change the way you see both waking life and the worlds beyond. You now hold the beginnings of a key, not to a door in some distant temple, but to the threshold that has always been inside you. The ancients didn't guard these teachings out of elitism, they guarded them because crossing that threshold changes you. Once you've felt the air of the astral on your skin, once you've stood beside your sleeping body, you can never again believe you are only flesh. We have traveled, in thought, through the history of this practice, from Egyptian temples and Tibetan monasteries to the quiet rooms of modern seekers. We've examined the mechanics, the layered self, the silver cord, the vibrational shift, the subtle navigation between planes. And we've grounded it in action, the stillness, the breath, the bridge between wakefulness and sleep, the first small steps into a wider reality. But here's the truth the mystics knew: projection is not the destination. It is a mirror. It shows you, with startling clarity, the state of your own mind. The astral will reflect your fears, magnify your joys, and reveal the hidden architecture of your beliefs. To master it is not simply to travel, but to transform. Perhaps the most profound shift comes not during the journey itself, but afterward, when you wake, stretch, and realize the solid world is just another layer. That the barriers between here and there are thinner than breath. That death, so feared in waking life, is only the most permanent of projections. If you choose to take your first steps, do so with reverence and curiosity. Move slowly. Learn your own patterns. And always return with something, a vision, a question, a fragment of understanding, that enriches the life you live here. Because here is the final secret: the more you explore the worlds beyond, the more you will cherish the one you wake up in. The unseen is waiting. And it has always known your name.